a long agenda because we have basically all of the items from your January meeting and then your February meeting. And as you guys know, the first couple months of the year, a lot. So if we could officially call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is public comments. Angela, do you have anything you would like to address with the board?
I do. I have a list of questions, and I'll just list them all, and then we can get to them if they're under items, or you can follow up afterwards, obviously. I'm curious what the concerns were of the board for the program offered by Harris County Public Health to be part of their wastewater testing program. I'm curious what the concerns were of the board for offering a virtual option for residents to be able to view meetings in real time. I'd like to know if we still have the 30 million gallon agreement with MUD 216. We didn't use it all in 23. We didn't use it all in 22. In fact, we got 16 million free because of, or they had to pay us for, anyway, there were 16 million at question in 22, and it sounds like we also did not use it all in 23. There was reference in a previous meeting to damage done by Lone Star and H&H, and I'm curious if that was associated with Easy Fiber. And just for clarification, I was curious why no action was necessary for the class action settlement with 3M and DuPont. I'm also curious why, despite having the ability to mass email and text residents, the board insists that they have to daily check a precariously placed flyer box to actually be made aware of non-regular meetings. As everyone is aware, I was not made aware of the meeting called in January. And finally, at the Green Trails Homeowners Association General Meeting in January, I asked about sidewalk repairs, and they specifically said that MUD 345 and Infomark are required to repair sidewalks as per their contract with Easy Fiber. The MUDs made the agreement, is what the president of the HOA said at the meeting. So there is a sidewalk that was improperly repaired. My husband and I refer to it as my first sidewalk, and it needs to be fixed. I don't know who it's not, I don't know whose responsibility it falls under. It was damaged with Easy Fiber, came in and did what they were doing. And so whether it's Green Trails HOA, whether it's MUD 345, whether it's Infomark, I've been asking all entities involved, can we please, it's degrading our property values. It's worse than like not having a sidewalk at all. And I can show you pictures.
Is this in front of homes?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's along Crescent Green at Crescent Parkway, and it's the ramp. It's the sidewalk ramp from the street. Like when you've crossed the street, the ramp onto the sidewalk. This ramp and the curbs around the ramp are like made of Play-Doh. It looks like I mean it's concrete, but it is not in any capacity professionally done, and is not appropriate for green trails at all. It's not appropriate for any neighborhood. So I don't know whose responsibility it actually is. I'm letting you know what the HOA told me when I asked about it.
We didn't have anything to do with Easy Fiber.
Y'all don't know. I don't know what agreement they're referring to with respect to direct Infomark. No, I know. You're just passing along the information. I have no idea what they're talking about, but I can certainly look into it. Board, Angela, only rep was aware, but it was our firm's mistake. Angela and I did not get the notification for the special meeting from the canceled January meeting. As you guys know, we've had some changes with paralegals, which led to changes with secretarial assignments, which led to mistake, and we have made sure it won't happen again. But Angela, again, I apologize. We made that mistake.
I appreciate the apology. I just would like to continue to advocate for more communication and transparency from the board to the residents.
Would y'all want to address any of the other comments, or just?
It's a long list. I'm not really sure where to start, or are we going to address any of them as part of the agenda?
The 216 agreement and the easy fiber, not the sidewalks. I'm
Right.
not sure about that one, but the
Lone Star and H&H.
yes, Lone Star and H&H. Thank you. And that can be under the operator's report.
And we're still planning on, as far as communication goes, we're still planning on the website. It's going to be probably, we're still 3 or 4 months out.
Wow.
It's going to happen.
3 months.
Was there anything?
I mean, I can reach out to Angela about the class action settlement with DuPont, but there was no, y'all didn't take any action to opt out, so no action was needed. Harris County Public Health, the program that they offered for testing the wastewater for COVID.
That was a while back.
Yeah, a couple months ago.
My recollection of that discussion was it seemed like they were collecting a lot of data, but there weren't plans to do anything with the data other than to distribute data that would cause a lot of confusion because there was nothing behind what they were. It seemed like it was kind of open book to what they were going to test for and how they were going to communicate that. It was kind of all over the place. Was our understanding of that, and so we didn't feel like that would provide any assistance or net help or assistance.
And I don't think there was even going to be a feedback loop as far as a report back to us that we could learn anything from it. It was just a grab sample for their purposes.
Is there anything else?
Mass messaging for meetings. Angela sent a request for that. I reached out to Rhett, and he just wanted to cover it under the mass communications. Our firm did not communicate with Angela about the agenda for the special meetings. Had that request, but we can talk about that under that agenda if you guys are willing to do that.
Yeah, we can put something under that.
Was that it?
The virtual option.
Oh, yes. That was brought up when Angela wasn't here about whether y'all wanted to do a virtual option for board meetings.
Did we discuss that already? I'm trying to remember.
Y'all didn't want to include it on agenda. You weren't
And we don't legally have an option for us to attend virtually.
You do, but 3 board members still have to be here.
Okay, yeah,
So,
okay.
2 other board
You have to have a
members, and then
quorum.
they also have to have cameras on those board members. You have to have a quorum to do that.
I don't really know the implications of that from a legal standpoint or from a technology standpoint. I assume there are from a legal standpoint. Are there a way we would do that? Requirements are for that?
Yeah, you would have to get a vendor, and then each agenda for the district would have to have a place where people could click in, watch the live view at a cost.
And would they be able to participate or just observe?
That would be a board decision.
I'm not in favor of participation because it's just unwieldy to add a number of people virtually into a meeting and try to control the dialogue. But anyway, that's just my initial opinion, but it probably deserves a lot more discussion before we head down that path. But my initial opinion,
would it have to be through our sanctioned website for the district, or it could be through any means?
I don't know if your website vendor has that option, so I don't know. It wouldn't have to be through him. You could use another. But I think y'all also discussed getting the website up and running and doing that.
That would
wanted
be
to
the
see
first.
if there was.
That would certainly be the first step.
That may suffice for the communication and transparency, just the website itself.
Yeah, I mean, we've taken a step of the, the emergency communication system, which wasn't in place before. Now it is. We're moving forward with the website, which is going to be a big step forward once we get that up and running in the near future. So maybe the answer is we do that, and then we see what the community, if we get other support for a virtual to go through the time and expense to set that up. There will be time and expense to set that up, and we can reassess at that point. So what I would suggest is let's table it. Let's get the website up and going. Let's get that stabilized with that. That's going to significantly increase communication and visibility to everything within the district, and let's see if that suffices people's desire for more information. And if it doesn't, that we can readdress it at that point.
At this point, does Fort Payne and Harding have other districts that have standalone video only vendors that form such a
Video
service?
only, no, not that I'm aware of. I work with one district that has the virtual it's released, but it's available to all members of the public, but none have attended. They use it through their website provider. Prepares it.
So that's my thought. Do y'all have different thoughts on it?
No, the timing sounds good, and I think we need to decide if it's observation or participation. Yeah, if people want to participate, they should come.
Then the meeting should be local, as per Texas statute actually requires.
We can link further discussion to the website.
All right.
All right.
Okay. Agenda item. Oh, sorry. Go
Can
ahead.
Jessica brought up something, or Angela brought up something. Is this location meets Texas statutory requirements? Having the meeting here?
Yes.
Okay, that's just wanted to
That's
get that clear.
not what state reps would tell me.
All right. Agenda item 2, review and approve the minutes of the December 11th, December 18th, and January 29th board meetings. Board, we sent out the December 11th and the December 18th minutes. I guess last month when the agendas went out, and then again this month. We had one change to the December 18th minute. We had revision of the 5-year capital improvement plan, and we changed that to just the capital improvement plan, since it was being increased from a 5-year capital improvement plan to a 10-year capital improvement. We are recommending deferral on the January 29th minutes, with that meeting being 2 weeks later than the regular meeting. We just haven't had time to do that. So need y'all to defer that until we are able to prepare them. If y'all have any questions, please let us know. If there are any comments, please let us know. But if none, if we can get a motion to approve the December 11th meeting minutes as written and the December 18th as revised.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
All
All right, agenda item 3, authorize the preparation and submission of the district information to the Texas comptroller for inclusion in the special purpose district public information database. The district's auditor, Corvus, prepares and files that on your behalf. They have in the past. We are recommending you all authorize them to do that again. All of the information that is required to be included in that database is found in the audit. And since they prepare the audit, it makes no sense for them to compile all that information and submit it. They do it on an hourly basis, and I think it takes about an hour for them to do it. Are there any questions? All right, we can get a motion to authorize Corvus to prepare and submit.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Agenda item 4, bookkeepers report.
Great. Good afternoon, board. Everybody should have a copy of the February report. At the cover page, we'll begin on page 3, the spotlight of the month. This focuses on your connection counts in your district. Gives you 5 years of historical data and your active connections versus your equivalent single family connection. Down at the bottom of page 3, you'll see the trend by fund for your account balances. Following that, on page 4 is your monthly financial summary for your operating fund. We have a current fund balance of just over $8.8 million. At the bottom of page 4, you'll see your operating reserve by month, so on your current month based on your actual revenue and expenditures. We're sitting at 68 months reserve. Page 5 is your cash flow report. For the month, we had receipts of just under $200,000, and we have 19 checks for your approval today. We did reissue a check for David for the October meeting that hadn't been cleared from the bank, and then we included the 2 insurance that you will approve today. So those are just holding checks for now until we approve. And then we did add 1 check, number 11641, to Champions for the utility services. Next page, on page 6, you see your cash flow report for your accounts receivables reporting the month of December. Pages 7 through 10 make up your actual versus budget comparison, reporting December and your fiscal year to date of the month. Everything's looking pretty good. On page 10, you'll see we're doing better than budgeted by $43,000. Pages 11 and 12 is your balance sheet as of December 31st. And then on page 13, we begin your sewer treatment plan. With your summary page, you have a fund balance of over $127,000. Following that, page 14 shows your cash flow activity. We have 7 checks for your approval today, including the insurance check as well for this fund. And then we added check number 32 to Champions again for the utility services. Page 15 and 16 show your actual versus budget comparison. 17, we began our joint water plant fund. We have a fund balance of just over 35,000. On page 18 is the cash activity. So we have 8 checks for your approval today, including insurance and the City of Houston holding check, and then we added 5207 for champions as well. Page 19 and 20 is your actual versus budget comparison. 21 and 22 show your investment profile and your account balance paid for all funds. Page 23 and 24 is reflecting your newly adopted budget for the current fiscal year. And then we're sitting at 52 months reserves, which is still really healthy despite what we previously were at for the prior year with 64 months. You know, we did decrease. We're still in a very healthy situation. That was all due to capital items that we're incorporating this. And page 25 is your sales tax revenue history, and we collected 11,557. So that's all I have. Let me see if you have any questions.
Or do y'all have any questions for Ina?
We do not. Oh,
All right, if we can get a motion to approve the bookkeeper's report and authorize payment of the invoices presented in addition to the 3 invoices not listed to change that unit.
Motion. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, agenda item 5 is an annual housekeeping item. It is adoption of the resolution adopting the list of qualified brokers authorized to engage in investment transactions with the district. On board in front of you, you will have a red line reflecting the changes of the list since what was last approved versus what is being recommended for you all today. And it should have been your stack with your minutes and the agendas from 4 page. This list is updated on an annual basis in conjunction with bookkeepers, investment officers, and tax assessor collectors in the industry. You are legally required to update it on an annual basis. I don't know if you guys have any questions on the list or if there are any listed institutions that you do not want to include on the list, but the changes are mainly due to bank merges, bank closures, and acquisitions. Some are just bank name changes.
Yeah. Looks good.
All right, if we can get a motion to adopt that resolution.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, agenda item 6 is the tax assessor collector's report. Isabel was stuck in traffic. She said she's on her way, but there was apparently an accident.
It was a
on
terrible accident.
Yeah, really bad. I saw the fire from my office.
That's a wood one.
So I assumed some more people would be late. It looked really bad.
Yeah.
So she's on her way. We'll just defer until she gets here. All right, agenda item 7 is the status of the business list update for the district strategic partnership agreement with the City of Houston. You all are required to update this on an annual basis. You have contracted with Sales Revenue Inc. to do that on your behalf. The deadline was January 31st. They did file the update with the City of Houston prior to that deadline. We got confirmation from them that they did so. There's nothing for you all to do, just letting you know that that has been done on your behalf in a timely manner. Have any questions? Agenda item 8 is another annual housekeeping item. We will have a lot. Sorry about that. It is grant exemptions from taxation for 2024 and the adoption of a resolution in connection therewith. What you all have done in the past is $10,000 for 65 and older or disabled individuals, and you have not granted a general homestead. For general homestead exemption, you guys could do up to 20%, but there's no limit on 65 and older or disabled. Not sure if you all want to discuss it or just keep what you guys have done last.
What did we do for the 65 and older?
10,000.
10,000.
How does that compare to others? That typical?
Yeah, it's very generous if you adopt any sort of exemption.
Okay.
We don't typically have districts adopt a general homestead exemption until they are mature, and usually if they have a strategic partnership agreement with the city so that they can collect sales tax revenues. For 65 and older, I would say 10 to 20 is what I see, and it's pretty common, but it's really just depends district to district what financial advisors recommend. If you guys want to look at it, we have Debbie Shelton with Masters Income and give an idea of what it would do to the district's funds if you increased it.
I don't recall us talking about that in the last couple of years.
Do it every January.
Yeah, I don't know, talk, like really.
Actually discussed, got it, okay. I promise you have done it.
I know we talk about it every, improve it, but to really get into it.
Maybe we're talking about after we get past a $6 million water well.
Yeah.
Good point.
I would suggest leaving it like it has been because, as like I said, we have quite a few we got really stuff we're working through. That'd be my thought.
Hey, do you have another copy of the agenda?
Yes, we should.
Or not the, yeah, the agenda. Thank you.
All right, seems like the consensus is to keep the exemptions the same as last year. So it'll be 10,000 for those older, 65 and older, and disabled, and general homestead. And you guys do this on an annual basis, so you're not locking it in stone for the rest of your life. All right, we can get a motion to adopt that resolution.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, agenda item 9 is the delinquent tax collection attorney's report. We do have a quarterly report for you all. This was going to have been presented at the January regular board meeting, which is why it has January 15th. But it's from Purdue, Brandon, Fielder, Collins, and Mott, the district's delinquent tax collection attorneys. There is no action for your consideration in connection with this report. There have been a couple bankruptcies, as you can see, Mattress Cow Holding and Snap Kitchen. There has been one suit filed against a trust. Katie ISD filed that, and the district joined in or intervened in the suit. There's one deferral, and then the other accounts. Your delinquent tax collection attorney will continue to collect on the district's behalf. But as I said, there's no action. If y'all have any questions with respect to any of the accounts, just let me know. All right, agenda item 10 is adoption of the resolution authorizing an additional penalty on delinquent personal property taxes and then authorizing your delinquent tax attorney to collect those beginning April 1, 2024. So this is personal property taxes. The law allows you guys to adopt an additional penalty up to 20%. You all have done it in the past, and we recommend you do it again because your delinquent tax collection attorney is paid on a contingency basis, so he gets 20% of what the district collects instead of the district having to come out of pocket for money that it is owed on its collection efforts. You pass through that 20%, and the delinquent taxpayers are the ones who actually pay the district's collection effort. If y'all have any questions, this is just for personal property. Real property, we will adopt that 20% resolution in April or May because those aren't considered delinquent for you guys. They're delinquent, but your collection efforts don't start until July 1st. Any questions? All right, can we motion to adopt that resolution?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, agenda item 11 is the adoption of the resolution concerning the developed district status for 2024 tax year. As in the last couple of years, based off of the information provided by your engineer, y'all are considered a not developing district, which means you are a developed district, which means that you can raise your taxes for the 2020 tax year up to 3.5% for the average homestead taxpayer. Probably watching that, but look better when I write it down. It's the same as last year. Your financial advisor will use the resolution when it comes to tax season for 2024 in September or October when they give a recommendation on what you can levy for your 2024 tax. Any questions? If we can get a motion to adopt that resolution.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Isabel, I don't know if you're ready. I know you came in late, but if we can go ahead and take you or we can wait, whatever you would prefer.
I see some new faces.
Mike Fitzgerald, he was
Mike.
one of the board members who was in the vacancy.
Okay.
Who taxes.
Hello,
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Financial advisor, that's somebody else.
Yes.
Alright, so we'll be going over the month of January's numbers. If anybody does need a December report, I'd be happy to give it to you. So looking past the cover page, we started the month off with $312,634.87. taxes collected, $509,742.53. Some of that trickling back all the way from housing to being, had some for 2022, but majority going to tax year 2023. After last month's disbursements, it left the district at $807,368.07. This month's disbursement, $677,200.55, leaving cash balance of $180,004. Last month's checks, they were checks 5185, 6187. Month is 188, 91. Nothing out of the ordinary, and then it looks like we're having maintenance transfer months. At the end of January, the district was at 83.7% collected. As of today, when I stepped out, we're at 95.07% collected. We've collected over $1.1 million for the district so far for tax year 2023. Anything that is coming in postmarked with the January 31st postmark, we accept those fees. Anything that's going to have a February postmark, we'll go ahead and check on that. Final page is your tabulation of cash, breakdown of incoming disbursements. Let me know if anyone has any questions. All right. I don't hear any questions. Thanks, Isabel. My apologies again. If we can get a motion to approve tax assessor collector's report and authorize payment of the invoices.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Agenda item 12, engineers report.
Good afternoon, board. If you follow along, I have my engineering report and then two other attachments with the update to the second water well costs and the 10-year CIP. Jeff Pena here, I brought again, he'll go over in detail more of the CIP together. So item 12A, authorized design, bid and award. We have three items. One is to have the board authorize design, advertise and bid water plant phase 1 improvements. If you look on your CIP, this is related to items Roman numeral number 1, items A through F. Those are the items we noted in our facilities tour memo that we need to try to are planning to accomplish by the end of this year. And Jeff can go over that in a little bit more detail when it's up for that item. But the second item we need authorization is to start the design of the second water well, including the natural gas generator as well. Item 12A3, we're also planning to start design this year of wastewater treatment plant phase 1 improvements. If you look on the CIP 11/17, that's item Roman numeral 3A through G. That's a project that we would like to complete in 2025, but we would need to start the design on that this year. And like I said, we can go into more detail if you have questions when Jeff does his presentation. Item 12B1, this is the installation of the generators at the 2 lift stations. This is the project that we have with W Industries. The contractor plans to installing those by the end of this month. They loft in equipment. Their sub has the generator on site now. It's going to be delivered to the lift station sites, and they're planning to install that by the end of this month. And I think they would still need to. They gave us a schedule. They plan to do all the transfer switch and the connection with the gas. So probably maybe sometime by the end of March or early April, all that construction will be put to sites.
It'll be operational at that point.
Correct, operational. But and item B2.
I had a question for the. We have one generator for 2 lift stations, right? We'll share back and forth.
No,
or is
these
it
are
one
per
each?
one per each, and then there would be a permanent generator at the wastewater treatment plant.
The one is that's the one we have on standby now. We still have that on standby.
Correct.
The one that we would share
Yes.
back and forth.
Yes.
The rental.
The rental.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
And I guess that would remind me that triggers me to coordinate with Henry. Once the installation of the generators, we can take that
agreement. Yeah.
Yes. The generator at the joint wastewater treatment plant, that is also W Industries as a contractor. They're still telling me that the generator delivery to loft and equipment will still be beginning of April. No updates on that. Item 12C, site and/or easement conveyances, none to report on that. Item 12D, consents to encroachments, same, none to report. Item 12E, potential repairs with the hike and bike trail associated with Harris County 346 and Precinct 4. No update on that. I did reach out to the district engineer, just letting them know, obviously this was pushed back because of the official call for projects from Precinct 4. So I emailed them and just making sure that, when is that officially going to happen? Supposedly it's going to be in April, but I just sent a courtesy email just to have it on their way so they don't call for projects.
So this is all just to repair the damage from when they cleaned out the channel.
Yes,
and with the heavy equipment that brought in to clean it out.
And 2 years ago, like I had meant, I had that field inspection with somebody when David Lowe, that was working at Precinct 4, kind of drove me out there, and it got pushed back because of this Precinct 4 official call for protocol. Item 12F, status of the service line inventory for the new lead and copper regulations. No update on that. And then item 12G is the capital improvement plan. I'll turn it over to Jeff Pena here for him to kind of present and go over some of the details on this.
So in addition from going 5 year to 10 years, extending that out, one of the things that we looked at is we looked through every component for water, wastewater facilities. There's different cost sharing, so we kind of laid that out there. We also looked at service life, which is important just to kind of get a feel for when you need to start replacing it. We also met with the operator, and that gave us the priorities that we have laid out here. From the last meeting, there was one small tweak that the operator requested. In 2028, we had mechanical fine screens replacement. So I think there, Infomark can chime in, but I think there was issues with the current ragging with the screens at the head of the wastewater treatment plant. So they requested to move that up to start design this year and then construct next year to prevent rags from causing issues in the treatment process.
Just makes things run a little, more efficiently, and our guys can spend less time having to pull all that out and focus on other activities.
So on something like 1C, to replace the booster pumps, those 2 booster pumps, you have it in for this year. Do they need to be replaced because of how they're performing right now, or are they at end of life on time and you should replace them before they cause that shutdown problem?
Right, they're at the end of life, and discussions with Infomark was that since they're at their end of life, don't want to have an issue with reliability, so they requested that they be changed out. They can rehab and repair things, but after so long, I'm sure that they've been worked on to get them this far.
So typically, you got some things you do, run on life, and then others run to failure. Do you?
Right, and that's not one you want to
run to failure.
And it just, the cost of, I'm not going to call it, maybe Band-Aids is the right word, or maybe not. For pumps, you can rebuild them, but then when it doesn't make sense anymore, then you need to replace them. So that's kind of where we're at.
Okay.
The bigger, I just highlight is that for the coatings, same thing. You have a ballpark estimate on when you need to do something, but staying on top of that will prevent corrosion. And so there was already signs of corrosion. So to prevent that from accelerating, that was a priority that we, in conjunction with Infomark, we put that for phase 1 and for phase 2 for that matter. Let's see, then we talked about the remote well.
So to y'all's knowledge, we've never had a recoat. See, 1992 and on almost everything.
From my knowledge, no, Jason, or
Not that
30 years.
And they last 7 years?
On the wastewater treatment plant, same thing. There's blowers over there. What we're proposing to do is replace those. and some other miscellaneous things. Um,
The blowers, is that the bubblers, or what is that?
Yes, yes, sir. And then everything else, we try to push back without causing any issue that can be pushed back. We know the intent is to kind of cash flow all of this, so that's kind of the way we laid everything out. One important thing is on item 4, no, sorry. Yeah. So the second page on the, let me back up, sorry, I'm skipping ahead. On the cleaning and televising, the plan is to televise the whole district within 10 years. We don't really know I don't suspect any issues downhole, but if there's ground movement, there may be roots or other issues. So don't have a feel for if we have to do any of rehab or not. I would suspect it would be minimal, but anyway, the plan is to go clean and televise and get a feel for what's down.
Where is that?
That's the second
Just the
page.
second
This
page.
stair step.
And
Okay.
you just went by age of the section,
Yes, sir.
oldest first.
Yes.
That's the clean.
And again, that's
Okay,
just to
got it.
get a feel for what's down there. There may be some more rehab or some areas that need attention. Typically, they're roots or service connections that with the ground, they'll kind of block the line.
Does the ragging choke point, if you will, happen at the forestry and at the wastewater treatment plant, or are you having a lot of problems at the lift stations and colors themselves getting?
It's going to be more, from what our operator's saying, more at the headworks at Fine Screen. I mean, of course, occasionally we do our standard cleanings that we do as part of our preventative maintenance schedule, pull pumps and pull out any rags.
Lift stations are passing it successfully.
Right. I mean, of course, not everything goes through, and so anything that doesn't on our cleanings, we pull those out. But yeah, so the impellers of these units are designed to help with that, to get it to pass through. But once it comes to the sewer plant itself, we want to try to filter that out as efficiently as possible.
Right. So we're recommending a finer screen to prevent that from happening, and a mechanical to where it, instead of having an operator go there.
Are we at the point where it's bad enough to do some kind of public message about the whole Swiffer sheets and don't flush them and do it? Is it that bad? We need to have a public service.
Well, I would say it's always good
Educational.
to spread that information, since we all know from being in this world, a lot of things that people say are flushable are not. I mean, it'll flush out of their toilet, but then it gets caught in the lift stations or the sewer plant itself. So we definitely have language and things that we have pre-written up that we are happy to send out just to notify. Don't flush baby wipes, either sanitary wipes, things that help. We have that kind of language send out with the board's approval.
That is like a mailer, or put a copy in the water bill, or
We can do either or. Yeah, so we can have it as an insert in the water bill, or we can just have a completely separate mailer to go out. I mean, we can also do door tags too, but that's not as efficient. It can be more costly because having to physically go out and hang tags on 1,300.
Do you think it's an overkill to do it once a year, once every other year? Is there kind of a standard best operating procedure for that?
Some districts.
Whatever you want to do, we're happy to abide by that by any means.
We get the website. That would seem like a great thing to put on the website.
It is a lot of
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I think the incremental cost of adding it to an existing mailer, if we're able to do that, would be worth it.
In a few $1,000 range.
I would think so, just based on the connection count.
Have them all printed and stuff.
So if you like, I can get numbers on that front, bring some examples of what we have, and you can choose format and how you'd like to distribute it.
Yeah, because this is that's an expensive repair. So if we can prevent that from happening.
So moving down to the last 3 rows that are highlighted, that represents the sanitary trunk line to Green Trails mud, which there's some cost sharing there. We've reached out to see what CIP they have planned, and their wastewater treatment plant, from what we understand, they are planning on doing design and construction next year, but they are not ready to release those numbers. We've asked as soon as they get finalized to give us that cost. So my understanding is an older wastewater treatment plant, so there may be some significant expense So for now, we just noted it as a placeholder, and we'll go from there. The total, looking at the totals, based on whatever item, depending on the item, there's the cost sharing. So at the very end, for each year, we have totals for each MUD. So I think one of the things we talked about was providing, I guess, getting the blessing from the board to approve this, and then maybe take off everything except for whatever it would be cost share. To
Yeah,
share it.
so, for this is what your engineers and operators have come to expect for capital improvement. They have not gotten input from the engineers for the other districts that you have shared facilities. Part of the reason they put the Green Trails wastewater treatment plant line on here is because Green Trails is responsible for that. So they were trying to get that before presenting it to you, so you had an idea of what that cost. It would be in your best interest when you've signed off on this to send that to your participants, so that way they know what costs are coming down the line. They can agree to it, and if they have any questions for your engineer, their engineer has any opinion, that can be.
My only comment to add to that is Kate and I had discussion, would we share the whole document board, or would we only share the portions pertinent to that particular district? So for example, 346, they wouldn't see the whole thing, they would just only see the part that they share in. That was one of it. And for example, Longhorn Town, Baker Road, only share the portions that they share in, like Green Trail.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, I don't really care about the rest of it.
No.
There's nothing to hide.
I mean, it's all, right, it's all
Yeah,
public
just
information. If they
clarifies the
wanted it, they
communication.
could, but
Just getting ready to
if you're
water
saying, oh,
and
it's
everything.
$16 million in the next 10 years, that might make them be like, what, without, focus
Maybe
on
we
what
need to
they
look
able for, that looks better.
Yeah.
So you've got 20% contingencies built in.
Yes.
You've got 3.5% inflation built in.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, sir.
What's to say that they?
It looks like
Last
once we get
video.
past the big slug of the water well and do an average analysis after that, it's probably less than $500,000 a year post water well. And that's right. We're clearing $1 million this year, so very doable.
We're not committing anything beyond 2024 right now.
No, you're not. You're just authorizing the design for the water plant improvement projects phase 1, which is the first item. The design of the second water well and the generator, which we will have subject to that phase 1 environmental site assessment to authorize January special meeting. And then the wastewater treatment plant improvement project phase 1 design for that as well. For the cleaning and televising program, that is on the second page. We have that under the operator's report, because your operator cleaning and televising included in the capital improvement.
This is a living document. What we, as of right now, this is the best plan, but as we go, priorities may change.
This is good, thank you.
Good explanation.
And did we miss it? Was it last time? Where is
These things that
y'all's
are end of line.
specific fees for the design? Are they here?
That engineering,
The engineering fees,
15%.
the column that says estimated engineering, that we were asking about.
Okay. You don't have standalone fee proposals. This is everything listed here.
Oh, yes, for example, I guess the question is, do we submit to the board individual fee proposals for each of the projects? Yes. I don't know what the Ralph Whistle has done in the past for items large as these. I know, I guess we would have to look at the master service agreement and see if it falls outside of that. I would assume that we would have to provide a proposal to the district, a formal proposal on that item.
I'm not
Especially
aware of you guys doing any past that would have planned maintenance kind of like this. Usually it seems more reactive. Pump failed, you had to get that fixed. I'm not sure exactly what the term master service agreement are, whether the board would need a proposal. I would assume so.
I'd feel better to have something this large would have a defined scope
Yep.
that goes with the fee. Just
Gotcha.
clarify.
Yes. Work on proposals for all what we plan to do this year.
What do we need to approve? Do we need to approve anything today?
No, because they'll bring proposals next to their for the,
So last meeting, we
recommendation for
already
the
approved
designs.
the environmental study.
yep,
So
and
that's
y'all did
already
it up to
moving
$10,000, what you authorized. It came in, I think what your proposal was
Six is what I remember, but we're still on a holding pattern until we.
We are still on a holding pattern. We'll talk about that in closed
Yeah.
session.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Well, are y'all comfortable with the 10-year capital improvement plan? You don't necessarily have to approve it or anything, but y'all
I
like.
think the way that it's laid out and how it's broken out is very helpful to understand what's going on here. And like you said, I assume this will continue to be a living document. We'll continue to update components of it as we need.
And do you guys have any GIS services?
Yes,
Yes,
Has this board talked about that, seeing that in the
we have a contract with the GIS. Yes, we have GIS services.
So, no timeline, but I would love to be able to eventually get to where we have this document in front of us, right? It's moving forward year after year, we're tracking things, and we can look on the screen behind us. Click on the dot representing the wastewater treatment plant, click on a dot representing the water plant. Is that feasible?
That's right.
That'd be
Right.
fantastic, just to have the visual with the paper, so we can know where in the world these are, and then just I think really facilitates the conversation. That's what you guys can do. I think it'd be great.
There's a lot it can track, like for overflows, like you'll do point repairs and just kind of patch things up. But when you put it on GIS, you get a graphical representation of where things are going. And
Especially the televising too. Hey,
Yes.
We're 10%,
and it'll-
20%, 30%
exactly.
through the district, yeah.
It'll let you know where to focus in and maybe not repair, but just do a full out repair of some section.
I'll get with our GIS.
And when you do the televising, are there hangers that go on those residents' doors because there's some disruption in
Yes.
service?
Yes, the website would also help with that communication, just so they know what's going on.
That way, if we were walking our dog and we get stopped on the street, asked him these questions, we can't run fast enough to avoid the questions, then we can at least answer.
All right. Anything else for the engineer's report? Okay. All right. Agenda item 13, acquisition of property owned by Second Baptist Church. We will talk about that in closed session. Agenda item 14 is the operator's report.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. If you grab my report, with the photo there on the front, short past. So going through the executive summary, we just have one action item for your review and consideration. That basically we have our online lift station at the sewer plant that is currently running on a float system to notify low well, high wet well alarms, things like that. And we're looking to put in a 3-pump controller to put a transducer in there, which is, just a more accurate way to determine these levels and to be able to set it appropriately. And then, of course, that float system would become a backup. So if that transducer fails for whatever reason, we do have a backup system in place just to create some redundancy for any issues. And so to get that estimated cost to get all that put in, just under $5,000, $4,950 to get that put in. So just extra redundancy for the plant and just a more efficient system.
So where does that efficiency benefit? Who benefits from that?
So it's basically if we have alarms, because we have sometimes false alarms that'll call out because like the floats will be in the water, so if it gets grease or stuff gets caked onto it, it can pull it or make it basically trigger something incorrectly. So it would reduce on us coming out in the middle of the night and making a work order for that charging the district, and then we can just with the transducer, we can more accurately set those levels. So if there is something that is going wrong, we'll have a lot more detail.
Great, thank you.
Which is, more information we have, the better.
So more reliable, more accurate.
Yes, sir. And then the floats will be a backup, so we'll have redundancy now built in with the new system. So because the floats will just bring it up a little higher than what the transducer set at, and so if the transducer fails, it'll hit the floats and that'll trigger. So, any questions on that? All right, so moving down to compliance, water distribution. All of our monthly samples came back, everything in compliant there. Our water supply through 2/16. This is, of course, looking at January's numbers, so that is now open. We have been in communication, so we have a feed rate
currently at 80 gallons per minute. That will be moving up to about 150 gallons per minute. So we'll start seeing that information get filled in starting on next month's report. Metered and billed for 345, 11,235. For 346, 2,258. Accountability 83.49%. And then our well GPM staying consistent at 1,535. And the wastewater treatment collection all compliant on that front. Looking on the operation side of things, we have our monthly flushing. The meters over 1 million. We didn't have any for this month. We did perform 4 leak repairs, 3 levels and sods, and then for our generator, put in some new batteries, got those tested, everything's working great. Sanitary sewer, just our monthly lab work, and then jetting some debris in the return line for the clarifier, and getting out some blockage out of the scum line of the sewer plant. And then customer care here, you can see our delinquent letters that went out. We had 55 on the 8th, 21 tags on the 18th, and then we had 9 disconnects for non-payment on January 24th, and then you see the next date there next to it. And we have no collections, no write-offs to be considered for this month. You'll flip to the next page. We got our results in for our arsenic from the TCEQ lab. You can see there in the bold under the bottom of the results column, it's a 0.0088, which is under the 10 limit, so well within our range there. And if you turn to the next page beyond that, I went ahead and put in our historical tracker that we had discussed previously, going back to 2002 through this most current November 2020.
Where's that?
It's flip back one page on your left there.
Oh, okay, yeah, thank you.
You bet. And so, of course, I have our one we had in August 2022 highlighted in red. And then, of course, you can see everything before, everything after that point. And then I'll continue as we get to the results, as we do our private lab testing. We'll just continue to add to them.
Do you know when the TCEQ is going to have they let y'all know? Because I remember.
I haven't heard yet. Okay. So, but I'm definitely, we're always checking so that way we can line up because I assume we talked about previously lining up our labs, our 2 to the same day, same time doing there.
Yes.
I just didn't know if they were going back to the annual test of the district.
That's a question we've asked. We haven't heard.
Okay.
So that is a possibility, and if so, we'll just continue to do our quarterly on our own until the board advises otherwise.
Of the, looking at the capital improvement plan, phase 1 water plant items, do we have a timing in mind on when we need to get that done? Do we need to get it done before the summer push gets here? So that's just a pretty quick.
Right, when demand goes down, that's when we'll go in there and get
So we
contractors.
want to do it before the demand goes up in the summer. Is that what you're saying?
Like
in the fall?
Like September, October,
So
that's when they
within
would start, and then in that window where there's low demand, that's when they would do it.
So this would be later this year.
Yes, sir.
These items. Okay.
So, but that's all I have for you, board, unless you have any questions. Just to reiterate, just one action item is the transducer for the on-site lift station.
How often do y'all have a false alarm on that cause your maintenance would have to go out there and check it out?
I mean, if we have an alarm, our plant operator will go out to determine if it's a false alarm or if there's an issue, what that issue is, and then we'll call our support departments accordingly. So I mean, it's hit and miss because what comes into the sewer plant was flushed it's ever changing. So I mean, there's not an exact. It happens this many times every single month. But it does occur in a frequent enough manner that we like. And of course, the floats are more older system, older technology, and so as the industry is progressive, just the things that are more suited for our current setups. So we're always looking for efficiencies, and then of course it puts a redundancy in as well.
Robert, do you
Yes.
want to address the sanitary sewer televising program? Do you have a proposal for the board? If y'all are trying to get that done, or you just defer?
Yeah, so
next month?
I worked with Jason and Jeff in the capital improvement plan because we had previously, and from we had our televising plan in place, but since we were combining with Pate Doss and Costello just into one document for ease and just to have everyone involved moving forward. So we'll continue as your operator to do the televising work for our 10-year capital improvement.
We've been doing the televising district for
5 years, or 7 years.
Every 5 to 7 years we would televise. So they just basically,
The TCEQ notice of violation the district got.
Yes. So I do have two copies here if the board wishes to see. But we did have a violation here, just some discharge of floating solids from the plant. We did get cleaned up. I do have the pictures here, so everything's back efficiently running. And then had an unauthorized discharge of wastewater, which was a self-reported item from a while back into December 2022. So that had been taken care of. Basically, we had an overflow that landed on the concrete at the plant, about 100 gallons, went to the lift station, and so we got that taken care of. We got our factor crew out there, cleaned it all up, everything on that front. So everything's good. And then just our previous items that we had covered in over the year that we had already talked about in previous meetings, just some excursions, elevated levels, things like that we've made the changes as far as chlorine items or.
Is that in here?
No, I have here. I got a couple of them here. You already
keep in mind this letter was generated based off of your last inspection. So this is something that they would have sent out regardless of if there would have been any alleged violations or not. It's not something that you got just because we had violations at the plant. So this is just their findings throughout of everything that we've self-reported to them throughout the year or the 2 years prior to their last. So,
is there any action required?
No, there's no action required.
Okay.
We've already submitted everything with TCEQ. We're waiting to hear back and get their final letter, but like I say, all this stuff has been addressed. Some of these violations were 4, 5, 6 months ago that were brought to y'all, and so this is just.
Good.
And so I have a printout in there, all the previous ones we had discussed in operators reports in 2020.
Nothing really new in there. It's just an overview of everything that's happened since the last.
Have we addressed the root cause of that won't happen again?
Yes, sir. Yes, all the ones that are, the first one I had talked about is the most recent. Everything beyond that is, I think one was in September, one in August, one in March. So those have been long taken care of and adjustments have been made. So like Alan was saying, this is just kind of a report of
Summary.
Exactly.
And keep in mind, some of these things, I mean, for instance, the chlorine issues, that's usually caused by chlorine, low chlorine residuals, things like that. That can happen anytime. Equipment failure happens. The labs come pull their samples. So even though we've corrected this, don't think that it'll never happen. It's a very good possibility it will. Same thing with ammonia violations and things like that. That's usually caused by dissolved oxygen levels, and so things happen to blowers that would cause issues. But we could very well have issues in the future. But
Okay, thank you.
Board, do you have any questions? Okay. All right. Sub item J under the operators report, the drought contingency plan 5-year review. As you guys may recall, you are required to perform a 5-year annual 5-year review of your drought contingency plan. That 5 years is up. So we need a motion to be able to authorize your operator and engineer to form that review of your drought contingency plan. I did also include in here a review of your water conservation plan. You do not need the triggers for your water conservation plan. Only reason you guys actually have a water conservation ERP contract with the City of Houston requires you have one. If you met the threshold, which is over 3,300 connections, then you would have to do a 5-year annual review, or if you got water. Y'all don't have that. I cannot find that y'all have ever done a review of your water conservation plan. It's the 5-year review for the districts that actually meet that requirement. So I included it just to see if that is something you guys would want your engineer and operator to do. I did talk with Robert. He doesn't actually think there would be any updates to it. But up to you guys whether you actually want to have them take a look at it, since it was up in the early 2000s contract.
You guys don't think there's anything needing updating in there?
No, we don't have any recommended changes.
Is the drought and the water conservation plan together?
They're separate.
Just the drought?
Just the drought is the district is required to review that every 5 years. The water conservation plan, you're not. Just so you guys know, the water conservation plan and your drought contingency pretty much, if there were updates to one, there will probably be updates.
So is there any benefit to, if we know we're not gonna make changes to it, to officially saying we reviewed it, to
Sure. I
really
mean-
looking at it? Is there a benefit to doing that?
No, you're not legally required to. It's just whether you want to say, well, we looked at it. We haven't done anything in 10 years. We've looked at it.
What's the incremental, if they're basically about the same plan, what's the incremental cost for us doing that?
Operator look at it and us draft a resolution. But we have to do a free drought contingency plan anyways, so we could just add in the water conservation. Wouldn't be hard, but
Yeah. We'll see why we wouldn't want to do that.
I've never seen it before, so I guess I'd like to get familiar with the triggers and everything that's in it, add it together.
Go for it.
Add the conservation plan to the drought contingency.
all right. So we'll add that to the action items for you guys to take. Also, K is the supplemental and emergency supply contract, but with Harris County 216. Angela brought this up in public comments, but just as a reminder, like I'm not sure if you know because you board yet, but in 2022, 216 had a problem with its well, and it was taken offline, and they did not allow you guys to take any water during that time. So instead of them revising their invoice where you would only pay for, because you'll have, the $30 million take or pay. So instead of them revising their invoice where you would only pay what you took, they said, why don't you guys just take that extra 16 million gallons you couldn't take in 2022 and 2023, and then effectively you're paying $1 per 1,000 gallons regardless. So you're just making up the water. In 2023, y'all took, Robert, help me out here. I know we talked about it, but I think a little over 10 million
Correct, yeah,
gallons.
about 10.3 million.
And the majority of the reason why is because y'all's well was down because you were doing your pump, replacing your pump over the summer months. At your December meeting, after your pump was repaired and everything, Robert, I can't remember who it was, but somebody in the operator's report made a note that we hadn't taken any water from 216 during the last month, which we should have been. And Robert said that 216 told us not to open the interconnect. So Robert and I have talked, and he and Mark and the operator with 216
Marlon Ivy and Associates.
They are coordinating and discussing with their board how they want to handle what the district could have taken after y'all were advised not to open the interconnect. I don't think you will get necessarily to the 30 million gallons because y'all couldn't physically take 30 million because of the well problem over the summer. As a reminder, you guys open your interconnect in May, June.
Yeah, usually
help
about
the
June
district
1st
system,
would be our
yeah.
standard. As of right now, we opened it in February, just because we have more to use that we're just, being as proactive as we can to use up as much as we can without straining the 216 plant, because they can only provide a certain level of feed rate before it's causing issues with their equipment. So getting that math calculated out to ensure our needs are met through the end of 24.
So are they gonna come back with a proposal to us, or what their thoughts are?
I believe so. Robert, I think that's...
Yeah, so they had some discussion with their board. Of course, no official decision has been made on how, different options on how we can get this handled. So I have, talked with their operator and everything like that to see if we can kind of get a game plan. So it's more just right now them taking it to the 216 board to, run through some options of how we can get this done in the most efficient way possible, where we can collect our water without straining their plant, or do more of a potential financial transaction versus water use. But we'll have to see if their board is willing to do something like that, and then of course we'll visit that when the time comes. We're not quite there yet, but in process.
What we just don't want to happen is them send all a bill for taking the full 30 million gallons and then us have to go back and forth like we did last time. So we can figure that out on the front end, so that way when we get it, it's good to go.
So something we need to watch every month until we get to.
I have it on the
Yeah,
report.
Your operator.
On the executive summary. Right now it's showing 0 since we opened it in February, and this is looking at January information. So moving forward, every single month you'll see where we are as far as our use of the month from then.
So we'll have a report in the next month or two on all the catch-up efforts, see where we finally.
I'm trying to stay out of it, so I don't rack up legal bills, but I need to get involved in it. All right. Anything else under the operations report? Okay, so the action, I'm assuming you guys are moving forward with the 3-pump controller, and then authorize the review of the water conservation plan and drought contingency plan, and then authorize your operator to do the sanitary sewer televising program in accordance with the capital.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, all right, agenda item 15 is another annual item, is authorizing your operator to provide required information to districts that received water from 345 relative to the consumer confidence report. The consumer confidence report is the district's water quality report. If there were any districts, which we know there were, but if there were any districts that took water or got water from 345 during the calendar year, you are required to provide them with information so that they can include information about 345's water quality in their consumer confidence. Any other district that we got water from, we always get 216s. If y'all look at your last water quality report, you had, I think, green trails, information and that type of stuff. We just need a motion for y'all to authorize your operator to provide any information required to those districts that got water from 345.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Okay, all right, agenda item 16 is the Green Trails monthly report. We have the December report from you guys. We did not get the January report from Rhett yet, so hopefully we'll have that at your next month's meeting. But the December report, there's also the beat activity report that you guys get on a monthly basis from the constable's office, and then there is the annual report. It doesn't have a heading, so it's kind of bizarre, but this was what we got from the constable. So it has what the annual reports were and I guess the major issues identified from 2016 through 2023. There should be copies of that in your packet board, but if not, just let us know. As y'all know, there's no action items for your consideration with respect to that report, but if y'all have any questions, let me know and we can reach out to the constable's office. All right, agenda item 17 is the annual survey of wage rate scales for construction projects and the adoption of a resolution in connection therewith. What y'all have done in the past and we are recommending again is you adopt the Department of Labor wage rate scales for Harris County. That way the district does not have to go out and survey its own wage rate scale. Any questions? All right, we can get a motion to adopt that resolution.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, agenda item 18 is a review of the district's insurance proposal as authorized at your last meeting. We got a proposal from your current insurance broker, Brown & Brown Insurance, that used to be Harco. They merged or were taken over by Brown & Brown, but that's why it looks a little bit different. Your insurance policy is overall increasing 6%. And as we talked about, y'all have an ongoing claim with them with respect to the litigation. So 6% actually isn't as much as me. But instead of going out for additional proposals, since you have that existing claim with them, which we will talk about in closed session, but it is for your consideration for you guys to look at and just heavily if you want to go out for proposals.
I think Keith has strongly recommended we stay
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
with this last time.
You did?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm good with
I'm
that
fine
too.
with that. Yep.
Okay. All right. If we can get a motion to approve the Brown & Brown.
Motion.
All in favor?
All right.
Okay, all right, agenda item 19 is the mass communication messaging matters and the status of creation of district website. So the Schwartz page has gotten an email from the website provider on the document need to fully populate the district's website. We are going through those. As you guys know, it's a lot of information that needs to be put on the website. And so we are coordinating with them to get them all of that information, or the documentation that they need. And then the plan is that when the website is ready, we'll bring it to the board for y'all to sign off on it.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Who's the provider again?
It is
Classic
Classic
Messaging.
Messaging. Yes, they handle y'all's mass. The board decided to stay with them for the creation of the website. All right, agenda item 20 is the status of the installation of the hike and bike underpass on Fry Road by Willowfork Drainage District. I do not have an update for you all. I don't know if y'all have seen anything here on social media. I think that's last where we heard about an update.
Yeah.
So,
Have not.
okay. All right, agenda item 21 This was a request by RET to include an amendment to the emergency and interim water supply contract between the district and Greenhead. As you guys may recall, and Mike, just so you know, the board tried to amend the emergency water supply contract with Green Trails about 2 years ago. Right now, the rate is 63 cents per 1,000 gallons. Based off of what your operator and engineers have determined, the cost to the district for actually producing about 1,000 gallons per water is $1. All of your other emergency water supply contracts have the cost per 1,000 gallons at $1. Green Trails was not willing to enter into the amendment or consider it when you guys wanted to. But based off of the conversation that Brett had with the president of Green Trails, I think offhand comment that they are willing to move forward on doing that. So I have talked to the attorney for Green Trails because he's here at our office and has brought up in Greenfield meetings. So I don't know if you guys just want to wait until you hear something from Green Trails, if you want to authorize us to prepare an amendment.
We table that till Rex back.
That works.
I don't want to look too eager on it, but I mean, it's in their benefit too. I mean,
It is,
it's a
it's
two-way agreement, so
Yes,
$1
it is.
makes sense.
Because if it cost them 63 cents per 1,000 gallons for water, they would then be making 37 cents if you guys took water from them. So yes, would be in their benefit to them. All right, well, we'll just defer until Rhett's back and maybe he's had more conversation with Doug Deal about it. Okay, 2022 is the attorney's report. I do not think I have anything additional. Okay, thank you, Alyssa, for that. Agenda item 23 is potential litigation involving the district. We'll discuss that in closed session. Agenda item 24 is closed session. Before we go into closed session, consultants or board, is there anything y'all would like to add to the agenda? Okay, all right, great. All right, well, it is 1:23, and we are going into closed session pursuant to 551.071 of the Texas Government Code and 551.072 of the Texas Government Code.
Good job with all that today.
Yes.
Good job.
I did. So the times where it says that it's like something was constructed in 92 and has a 7-year approximate surface life, it's obviously been more than 7 years since 92. Have we just been playing whack-a-mole? We don't have we haven't been proactively. Well, there's a whole bunch of things.
That was probably a good thing.
Yes.
We haven't replaced or fixed or.
So I left an hour early.
You try to, well,
Said it'll take
that's
40
just
minutes,
the
okay?
estimates are
And
just
then I got
ballpark.
on and
Okay.
said,
So if
and 20 minutes
nothing
later,
is
email goes,
broken or doesn't need, if it's running fine, then some of this can get longer life, but
half a mile.
it really just depends.
I mean, I'm just thinking
I
of
saw
like,
that
you
when I
know,
came in. Like,
in my home and in my car,
the car that
I
was
would
upside down,
push
it was
it
burnt to-
20 years past the
it was
service life.
completely like all the way down.
It seems. Also, since y'all might know, there was a discussion a few years back about we needed to not be on chlorine because of our interconnects, because the interconnects were moving surface water, but we're replacing the chlorine system in 25. How is that going to affect our interconnects?
No, that's what chlorine. If the system surface water has chlorine,
Right,
the two together.
right. That's my point.
Yes.
That's
and
my.
so there's nothing in the surrounding district where all of us are on.
Currently,
Yes.
but one of our emergency interconnects is going to surface water by 25.
Not from the discussions we've had from all of the surrounding districts. We recently met with all the sister districts, part of the groundwater program that we're in. We know there's no facilities near us that are needed to service.
Okay, I'll reach out to you
That was
with
Mason.
what. That was what?
That was with Mason Creek, 216 Bakertown.
What
We
I
all met
understand is
about a
the
month ago
contractors.
to discuss this.
Right.
You can keep it if you like.
But nothing.
I'm talking about the ones that are in the other organization, not the city.
We're back charging, all that stuff.
The ones that are in
West
the
Houston.
yes.
West Houston.
Yeah, exactly.
We have an interconnect with the West Houston emergency interconnect with the West Houston group.
I'll double check.
Okay. I don't have these notes with me, but I can email you. So it's a little concerning that one of our emergency interconnects is moving to chloramine, but we're going to replace our chlorine system. Y'all plan on taking the action after?
No.
Okay.
Actually, I need you two to stay. Sorry to talk about second Baptist Church. Sorry, I forgot to say that.